Hello everyone, Mariko Berg, Realtor with Bridgewell Real Estate Group here in Coquitlam, British Columbia, Canada. And it is Sunday, January 26, 2020, so I've got my Sunday morning cup of coffee. And around this time of year, I'm sure a lot of you have been mailed your BC assessments, and I hope all of you have received them. But I thought that this vlog today would be very fitting, and I wanted to do a information vlog for you on the difference between assessed value that BC assessment gives you versus market value, essentially what you could sell your home for in the market. This vlog, sorry, is for sellers, but it's also for buyers, because a lot of buyers, when they are looking to purchase a property, a lot of them are referring to e-value, and it's hard to sometimes get that through people's head that e-value BC assessment doesn't necessarily correlate to market value in a lot of different situations. And so why is that? First of all, the BC assessments are done in July 1st of the previous year. So January 2020, and you're getting these assessed values, but that assessment is based on the market in July of 2019. And so it's kind of like if I were to, say on July 1st of 2019 what the weather was going to be like on January 26th of 2020. How much weight would you really put on what I had to say? Things change. Just like the real estate market, things change. So we have a lot more recent solds, recent comparable properties, recent active properties that are competitive to what you would put your home on the market for right now. And so because of that, sales specifically, recent sales that are comparable in terms of bedrooms, bathrooms, if you're a detached home, lot size, age, things like that, are going to be the best measure for you because they are more recent than BC assessment. So that's really the biggest discrepancy between BC assessment and what your home could sell for in the current market, is just the timeline in which BC assessment does it. It's a one-time thing, and sales are definitely going to be a better measure just for that reason. But secondly, there's a lot more that goes into market value than BC assessment. And I don't mean to, hate on BC assessment in any way whatsoever, but appraisers aren't most of the time going to physically be going to those properties and seeing them and being able to assess maybe the layout or any additional renovations. And I can't tell you how many times I've looked at something on eValue that says it has only one bathroom in a house, and it ends up being 3 bathrooms because they're like, oh yeah, we renovated it and we added an extra 2, or like we added a suite, or we finished it off, whatever it was. There's a discrepancy. And by no means is it realistic for the government to send an appraiser to every single person's home and make sure that all of their information is correct and, it's updated and et cetera, et cetera. It's just not realistic. But as I said, layout and renovations and the feel of a home overall plays into what a buyer is willing to pay. And it's impossible for an appraiser that doesn't come to the property to be able to get that same kind of understanding as a buyer that's going through an open house or a showing, or a realtor that's experienced in, what else is on the market and has seen everything else on the market in person, is going to be able to estimate what that value is going to be. So that's another reason why market value and assessed value can be very different, is just because appraisers for BC assessment don't physically see the property in person, and with realtors and buyers that are creating this market value essentially do get to see that. And when you're also dealing with that as well, all of a sudden what else comes into play? Not just like layout and all of those things, but also buyer emotion. So when we're dealing with market value, yes, it's essentially what a buyer and a seller are willing to come to an agreement to for the sale of any given property. And then that, again, sales. So that's why we're talking about recent sales and how that's the best measure for what market value is going to be. But it also has to take, you have to take into consideration what that buyer is willing to pay, right? And so in a situation, right, let's say we have multiple offer scenarios, and one buyer is, already been given notice for their rental. They need to be moving in 30 days. And another buyer is, taking their time, living with parents, not a big deal. Like, that motivated buyer that needs to find something is going to be willing to pay a higher price for it in most situations. And so what happens then is that motivated buyer, if they get an accepted offer and the seller, agrees to that price that they've been willing to offer, and they come to an acceptance and everything sells, then that becomes the new market value for that type of home, whether it brings the market up or whether it brings the market down. And so that's definitely something for you guys to just keep in mind is, when you walk into a place, sometimes you just get a feeling. And sometimes you can't understand that via pictures, and that's why you go to showings and you go to open houses to check it out in person. Most people don't just buy things only seeing it online, and so that's why there's just a discrepancy again between what appraisers think the value is and then versus what a buyer is willing to pay in the market, and essentially determines the market value is. But those are really like the two big things. And so if you are a home seller that really wants to get an understanding of what your home could sell for in the market, don't pay too much attention to BC assessment. BC assessment is really there, to give an estimate, a very loose estimate of what the value is, but it's mostly there to actually tell the government and tell you to pay X amount of property taxes and to calculate what your property taxes should be based on that estimated value of your home. It's not to tell you what your home could sell for in the current market. And so if you want to know what your home could sell for in a current market, you should be talking to a realtor, having them come through to tour your home, to give you comparables on, recent sales that are comparable to you, active properties, terminated properties, expired properties, things like that. And giving you a full picture of exactly what your home could sell for based on their experience and what they estimate actual market value to be based on those sales. And so if that's something that you are interested or that you're looking for, definitely feel free to reach out to me anytime. We're happy to do a free market evaluation. It's no pressure, no obligation if you are thinking about selling your home. And, again, it's also for buyers too. So if you're thinking about buying and, you just want to make sure that you don't overpay and you are having a hard time figuring out, exactly what market value is, then give me a call. That's my job. We go and we look around at properties with buyers, and if there's one or two or three you really like, we do a comparative market analysis for those properties and give you an idea of, what we think market value is going to be, and where we estimate the sale to kind of end up, depending on whether the market is cooling, heating up, or just a neutral market. So there's a lot of things that go into market value. And I mean, we're talking about location, we're talking about, if it's strata, contingency reserve funds, strata maintenance fees, like what the picture of the whole strata looks like. We're talking about age of a building, complex or home. We're talking about lot size. We're talking about whether that lot is flat, whether it's sloped, whether the home has a suite, whether it has suite potential, the square footage, interior, everything, bedrooms, bathrooms, dens, how functional those dens are. I could go on and on and on and on and on. It's not just as simple as, BC assessments calculation. And so all in all, if you got your assessments, don't freak out about it. It's okay. It's not a representation of market value. Assessed value and market value are two very different things. I hope that this kind of cleared things up for you guys. And again, if anybody is thinking about buying or selling, understanding market value is so key, and really that's what I'm here for, to help you guys out with. So give me a shout anytime. Mariko Berg, realtor with Bridgewell Real Estate Group. And I hope you guys have a great day, and I hope to talk to all of you soon.